I'm going blind from looking directly into this light, so I swear I look different in every video. Hey loves, so I've been home from India for a month, and I kind of wanted to, has it been a month? No. I've been home from India, has it, what? I have no concept of time. I've been home from India for a month, and I kind of wanted to look back and recap, and you guys have been asking a lot in the comments like what I thought of India, what I thought of the trip. So I wanted to just do a nice sit down video because I haven't sat in front of the camera and actually spoke to you guys in a while. Plus now I have this ring light so I can officially go blind while filming. I hadn't planned this out. You guys haven't really asked specifics, but basically just like what I thought of India as a whole, and I wanted to tell you guys a bit more about effect.org because I think it is such a wonderful organization, and I really want you guys to know more about it. Okay, I forget where I was, but I know I was talking about India. So I have two people to thank for, well, I guess two people in an organization to thank for this trip to India. And I heard about this from two influencers who I now consider my friends, Tristan and Indy. Tristan had gone on this expedition once before to India and decided to come back as a trip leader and bring his best friend Indy, and they opened it up to their followers. And I had been following them for a little while by that time. So when I found this expedition through Tristan and Indy, I applied right away, and I kind of found out at the last minute. So I completely have them to thank because I think other than this expedition, I probably wouldn't have thought about going to India otherwise. There were so many other countries that I had planned on going to, and I just really didn't know a lot about India, honestly. And for the most part, when I told people that I had planned and I applied to this expedition, they were like, India's so dangerous and you have to be really careful, I can't believe you're going alone, and all this stuff. It was the same thing kind of with the Philippines because people are like, well, isn't that really dangerous? I've come to learn that I really have one response to that, and I'm like, well, isn't America really dangerous? Aren't there places in America you just don't go because you know it's not safe, and you don't go out at night in certain places, and you're not like a 20-year-old girl walking around alone? So I think you just have to take into consideration, yes, other countries can be dangerous, and especially when you're a foreigner and you stand out, but you just have to be super alert, super aware. And I felt very comfortable going because I knew I was with an organization, effect.org, that knew what they were doing and, you know, would be there to guide us along the way. So that is one reason I really did not feel nervous. I mean, I'll admit there were times before I went, I was a little bit, I was questioning it, like, well, I don't know a single person going on this expedition with me, and I don't know this organization very well. I mean, I researched them online, but their social media was lacking, and sometimes I equate that with not being legit in today's time because I'm so used to everybody having a super strong social media base. But now, after doing it, I know it's because they are so busy doing other things that their social media, they have yet to hire somebody on to do that. So, but at first, I think that definitely that worried me maybe a little. I told you guys I didn't have this planned out, and I also don't have my phone now. Yeah, so that's how I found out about the expedition. I ended up applying on one of the last 2 days to apply. You had to apply by a certain date, and they go through your application and they choose a group that will help attack the barriers and come up with solutions. Sorry, Nero's walking around and he's nice long buddy. I'm filming this in my dog's room because I didn't want to leave them alone. That's kind of crazy dog lead I am. On the topic of dogs, right off the bat, one of the best parts about India for me, and also saddest, was the dogs everywhere. There are stray dogs everywhere, and you just want to pet them and give them food, and I actually did feed them and give one water. That looked very taken care of by somebody. But I have to say there was one dog, because there's so many stray dogs, that had such bad mange. It made me so terribly sad, and he was like kind of aggressive because you know he was in pain. Yeah, so if you want to see animals and wildlife almost everywhere. There were cows in the middle of the road. That's another thing I loved about India, all of the animals everywhere. I'm kind of struggling because I did love it, but at the same time there were elephants being ridden, and if you saw that vlog, I got really upset and like visibly upset. So there was like back and forth. Another thing I absolutely loved was when you were greeted or you walked by anybody or you saw someone, everyone would say namaste, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, the best in me notices or acknowledges and appreciates the best in you. I think that's like a rough translation of what it means, but that was one of my favorite things because it was just a part of their culture that we don't have here. And while we might greet other people, you felt a sense of like genuine, I can't even speak, I can't even articulate it. I'm going all over the place, but back to affect.org. So they are an organization that is working to open schools and provide education for children that can't afford it. And not only, you know, open a school and have education, but quality education, well-rounded, where they're learning life skills, where they're learning, I know that parents love that their children were learning dance, where they're learning a little bit of everything and it makes them a well-rounded person. And they were learning English as well, and some of the children were so good at speaking English and being able to talk to us. Affect.org, if you ever are looking for any kind of charity to donate to, I highly recommend them. I've seen firsthand what they're doing in India, and I think it's amazing that they're opening schools that are very affordable, and children that wouldn't have a chance otherwise to go to school and get education can benefit from their schools opening. It is absolutely something I would love to keep helping in the future, and I actually do plan on going on another expedition next year with our India crew. Hopefully we all can do that. What else? Oh, of course, you know I had to talk about the food. The food was so delicious, and it made me realize that the Indian food in America is not real Indian food. And what I've been eating, and I thought I was eating Indian food, is just not. And it is so much better there, obviously, because you have the spices that are grown there, and it hasn't changed to please the like American palate. You just had true authentic Indian food, and it was so incredible. I actually am missing the food so much, but you guys know me and food. I'm always talking about food. Another thing I noticed was the hospitality. There really is an Indian hospitality, and it reminds me a lot of Filipino hospitality, where there's just this sense of welcoming, and you don't see it a lot in America because people are kind of more like closed off a little bit. But in India, like, I had met a mutual friend's friend, so it was like twice removed for me. Like, honestly, I didn't know anybody really. So once I met Abby, well, you guys have seen the vlogs. Once I met Abby and met her friend Arjun, he's in the Jaipur vlogs, and then met his friend Ayan. His friend Ayan invited us to his house for dinner, like to have a home-cooked meal and everything. And I just thought it was so sweet, because if someone came to America and like I met their friends for random new friends, I don't think I'd be like, hey, come to my house and I will like have a meal prepared for you. So I think that was something I was like really blown away with. It was just so sweet and one of the best nights. So thank you guys if you're watching. But yeah, I think there is a sense of hospitality that is pretty incredible there. And I really hope everyone has a chance to experience it. And speaking of experiences, next I will touch on Holi, which is the festival of colors in India. And like, I'm at a loss for words because it was one of the most incredible things I've ever been to. It's like a concert slash music festival slash color run. I know I said this in the vlog, but it's basically just a huge celebration of life, and everyone is like completely letting go and having fun. I did not celebrate Holi in the streets. I know if you, especially if you're a foreigner and you celebrate it in the streets with a bunch of people, things can happen, you know, because everyone's drinking and there's a lot of stuff going on. Luckily, we were at a private event. While there were some things that happened that I just don't want to talk about because it wasn't me, it was someone in the group. While something did happen to somebody in our group, I think that we had a great time overall. But at the end of the day, you guys were right to say that we should be celebrating Holi in a nice environment. And they used organic color, thank goodness, otherwise my face would still be purple. That was the craziest. You couldn't even recognize each other. And someone actually told me in the comments that it was like, the whole purpose is that you throw these colors and you all are kind of like in this experience together, so you don't recognize other people's race. I don't know, it kind of like masks everyone, which I definitely thought I did not look like myself. But I really like that concept that it kind of is just a time for everyone to celebrate and like lose that identification for a little bit and just enjoy and have a festival and be together and celebrate. No, we did not. Someone mentioned a weed drink, whatever that is. We didn't have anything to drink. None of us were 25, and I know the drinking age there is 25. None of us were drinking, none of us were doing anything, and it was still the best time ever. So I highly, highly recommend, if you're ever thinking about going to India, make sure to plan it around the Holi festival, and definitely check that out, because I will never, ever, ever forget that, ever. And I'm so glad I have videos to relive that. Overall, I think it made me realize how much we take for granted here in the States. I think it just made me realize that the world is a big place, and I know I only saw 2 places in India, so I haven't seen a lot even there. But from what I did see, it just made me realize that there are so many different lifestyles that people have. And it made me realize that like we take education for granted here in a sense, because we kind of, I don't want to speak for everybody, but there's a certain, oh, like I hate school, or I don't want to go to school. And I think because it's, you know, given to us, and we have public schools that you're able to go to here no matter what. Well, I shouldn't say no matter what, but they're really available. And I think we sometimes take that for granted, that some people in other countries around the world just don't have that opportunity. That was a huge eye-opener, and I really, really cannot say enough good things about effect.org. I'll leave it linked below. You can check out all of the India vlogs. I vlog daily there, so you can see exactly what we did. Our expedition did a really nice job of mixing sightseeing with like actually being in the schools with the children. We spent days at the school, and we spent days working on their barriers in a hackathon, and then we also spent days visiting the Taj Mahal and doing Holi. There was a perfect balance of work and play. Sign up for one of these expeditions, you will meet lifelong friends. I can't promise that you'll meet as good friends that I met, because we all got along so crazy well. Even if you make one friend, even if you just meet Ashima and the whole team there at Effect, you will have friends for life. Actually getting a little bit upset because I miss them all so much. Trying to think of, I'm sorry this video is a complete mess, but I don't know what you expected from me. This is kind of the status quo here. What else about India? If you have watched all the India vlogs, you kind of got a gist of all of this. Overall, I would say after going, I can tell you that people are always gonna say that a place is dangerous, or there's always gonna be bad things that happen in certain places. Coming from somebody who has visited India and spent almost 2 weeks there, you really can't judge it by what other people say. You have to go see it for yourself, and just be smart, be aware. I don't know what else to say. I really miss India, and I miss everybody I met there. It'll always hold a very special place in my heart. I think I rambled enough. If you guys have any other questions, I was talking so much I ran out of memory on my memory card. If you have any specific questions about India, please let me know in the comments. But thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video. And if you haven't, make sure to check out the India vlogs. I will leave the playlist linked up here so you can go through them in order, and so you can see exactly what our trip entailed.
Comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks.
No one cares.